Today I'm going to review the Plunder expansion of Dominion board game. How these reviews work, go through some of the mechanics, what it introduces, emphasizes, some components, make or break expansion, look at some of the extremes, high end, low end for both strength and fun, and then a little bit of fluff at the end for each of these. I give a letter grade, and then we can make a nice average of them at the end compared to other expansions. So, Plunder is the 15th expansion. That was released in December of 2022. Not that far after Allies. Plunder is a massive expansion. It has 40 kingdom cards. Along with those 40 kingdom cards, it has these 15 unique loots. There's 2 copies of each, so that's 30. 15 events, 15 traits. It's a big expansion. New mechanics include loot and traits, mentioned above. There's also these next time durations, which are a little bit different from what we've seen before. And there's a returning emphasis on treasures and durations. Is really you can call it in spirit. You can tell from the theme. It's a successor to Seaside and Prosperity, and so reflects the themes of those. All right, let's look at some of these mechanics. Starting with loot. What is loot? Loot are these cards. They're treasures. They go in a pile, and there's these different things that say gain a loot. The loots are face down, shuffled in a pile, and so when these happen, you end up getting a random one. You get to keep it forever. Some of the things that gain loots, you have events that say like gain loot if you do something. Cards that just say gain loot. Maybe you have to trash a card, and conditionally you'll gain a loot. On gain, under some conditions, on trash, you can get a loot. And in general, loots are going to give 3 coins and 1 buy. You can see Puzzle Box, Prize Goat, and 4. They give 3 coins and 1 buy, and there's maybe a little bonus on top of that. Maybe trash a card from your hand if it's Prize Goat. There's also a couple loots that don't give 3 coins and 1 buy. Insignia. You get 3 coins, but you don't get your 1 buy. Endless Chalice, you get your 1 buy, but you don't get your 3 coins. And so, when you do this, you're going to get one of these things, and mind you, it's permanent. And so, if you're looking for your 3 coins and 1 buy, which a great many of them are, and you don't get it, you're going to be really disappointed. And for that reason, loot is just a flop. There's really no way around it that, you really looking for 3 coins and 1 buy and a little bonus, and if you don't get that 3 coins and 1 buy, maybe you don't even care about the little bonus. You're sad. And so, this is a bad grade. This is going to be a D for me. All right, traits. Traits are these landscapes. They point to some specific kingdom card, and they say, do something different. When you gain a pious card, you can trash a card from your hand. It's like plan. When you gain a cursed card, you'll gain a loot and curse with it. Loot. Patient. You can set aside patient cards from your hand to play at the start of your next turn. Maybe it'll modify the card. It costs 1 less. Maybe you'll do something to your deck. You get an inherited card right away, whether you want it or not. And so, these things are going to change your kingdom. Certainly. They modify some kingdom card. I don't think that they're the most amazing mechanic. You look at your kingdom, like you already have diversity there. There's 10 things that all say different things on them. Why do you need to change one of them up? From the perspective of is this really improving the game of Dominion? Maybe not so much. That said, the ones that exist are really well done. A lot of these end up being, they do end up adding to the game. Although they're additive, but we'll call them highly unnecessary, and so that's a C+. All right, next time durations. Previously durations would be, explicitly timed, like it would say, now and at the start of your next turn, or for the rest of the game even. Like these are things that are explicitly timed for when they're going to finish doing whatever they're doing. Next time is different. Next time is going to have some trigger, like the next time you gain a treasure, trash up 2 cards from your hand. The next time the first card you play on a turn is a treasure, you can put this onto your deck. Or you have to put this onto your deck. Gain a loot. The next time durations, it's a really novel thing, and I think, a lot of these really do end up shining. Cage, you get to temporarily trash stuff. It really opens up a lot of design space. And so I think next time is a really nice thing. I do have to kind of bash two of them because they have to do with loot. But, in general, great mechanic, fun to play with. It's going to be an A-. More treasures. Plunder places an emphasis on treasures, I guess, coming back from prosperity. There's all these different treasures that you can do stuff with. Crucible is going to be a trashing one. Figurines even going to draw for you. A couple of duration treasures of various kinds. Different treasures. Even it's something that triples a treasure for you. Like this is something that you hadn't really seen before. So all of these things are treasures. They get to be played during your buy phase. I'd say a lot of them are unnecessary. The draw doesn't really work during it. The silver mine, like who wants that? Crucible is just salvageable during your buy phase. So I don't know that there's a lot of things that are novel here. And on top of that, treasures are kind of boring to begin with. The great thing in Dominion is playing lots and lots of cards, and unless figurine is in the kingdom, it's going to be really, really hard to play lots and lots of treasures without playing lots and lots of actions first. And so putting an emphasis here is probably not the greatest thing ever. Some of them are fun to play with, but this is a C for me. More durations. Durations are action cards, and you do get to play with lots and lots of them. There's a number of different durations. A lot more of this now and at the start of your next turn stuff. At the start of your next turn, do something. Grotto is a real highlight. Set aside 4 cards face down. You get to kind of do this filtering thing with Grotto. Some attacks, Siren, Frigate. These are all really sweet. There's a couple that are maybe a little bit on the boring side. Cabin Boy doesn't do a whole lot for you, but Quartermaster is a little bit unpleasant. But overall, it's a good new set of durations. There's not a whole lot to say that's novel here, but it's a good solid set of durations. So despite the not really loving these ones on the end, I'm giving it an A-. All right, look at some of the components. Attacks and plunder. We looked at some of these duration attacks. Here's a loot thing. That's a next time anybody does something. Trickster is a weak cursor. Siren is a strong cursor. Siren can be a little bit iffy just because there's these things called siren tricks where, although Siren has this condition where you have to trash an action from your hand in order to actually successfully gain it, there's a couple ways around that which are kind of gross. Frigate is this really, really fun attack. This is one where it's fun to kind of work through these penalties, and Frigate's definitely a penalty. Your hand size is basically limited to 4 when it's out, and so you have to do a lot of work to work around that. You better play Frigate yourself. So this is a good one just because it really does encourage playing a lot of stuff and making your deck work. I'm really love Frigate. I'm not overly thrilled with the rest of them, especially the loot one. And so, Frigate really draws this up, and I'm giving Plunder a B on its attacks. Draw pieces. We generally talk about quantity over quality, and while this looks like a lot of quantity, it's actually not that much. You look at this, there's these traits, really only, we're going to say one of these, which is inspiring, really works consistently. There's the loot, that's random, you're not necessarily going to get it, and heck, even one of these is kind of iffy. If you're looking for 3 coins in 1 buy. Some of these draw cards, otherwise looking at the cards, there's 14 of them. A couple of them, figurine, maroon, don't really work. Landing party's a little bit limited, but even if we consider 14, that is in a set of 40 cards, and so that is not a great ratio. If we knock it down even a little bit more, excluding those, in games with Plunder, and they're heavy Plunder, it can be really tough to draw. These things are not really making it. Even a lot of these draw cards, you look at Mapmaker, you look at Maroon, you look at Stowaway, their draw is really limited, and this is another thing with durations. Maybe not crew, but you have to get a couple of them in order for it to start working. And so, Plunder is not good on this front. I'm giving it a C. Alright, payload. What can you do with your deck? Well, there are so many loot things. Now you get to see all the loot things. It's really about producing lots of coins. This is what Plunder does. There's this pretty sweet remodel in large that's going to be a now and next turn, however that works out. I included Frigate. It's a +3 coins, but it's something that, is a goal for your deck to do just because it's such a strong attack. That said, in games with Plunder, you are going to get it done. You are going to be able to produce coins. You are going to be able to produce a lot of coins. And so, despite the misgivings I have about loot, a lot of these things are still just, you will get it done with loot in the game. It may be nasty and you may lose because you don't get the loot that you want, but you will still be able to get there eventually. And so I'm giving it a solid B on this. Alright, some extremes. High-end strength, looking at Grotto and Rope on the card side, Journey on the event side. Journey is very, very strong. This is one of the very, very strongest landscapes events in all of Dominion. Journeys in the Kingdom, you will revolve around it. Grotto and Rope, maybe not the strongest things ever. Grotto is pretty fun. Rope is whatever. It's a card that basically raises the floor of a kingdom. I think that this is generally a okay set. I want to say that these two probably don't lead to the most different looking games. Like they don't make the entire kingdom, but you will get them and you do the same thing with them basically every time. There's definitely a formula to them. Journey, on the other hand, there's a lot less of a formula other than just buy it. So I'm pretty positive about this high end strength. That said, I'm going to limit it to a B+ just because they do tend to feel a lot kind of same-ish. Low end strength. There's a lot of not good cards in Plunder. These are 4 that would certainly be in the bottom end of really any of the things coming after adventures, and so this is not ideal. That said, they all do have times when you buy them. I'm not going to say that they're unbuyably bad. Gondola's really boring. It's kind of just silver looking. They're certainly not unbuyably bad, but they aren't really doing much, and there's just way too many of them in the expansion. So this is going to be a C-. I'm calling the most exciting card. It might actually be Grotto, but I'm going to highlight this event, Invasion. Invasion is a 10 cost event, and it does a lot of stuff for you. It gains you a duchy, gains an action onto your deck, you gain a loot, and you play it immediately. As much as I don't like loot, this somehow feels like loot done right. It can be a little bit frustrating if you don't get a 3 coins one, don't get a plus buy one, you don't get to do stuff again, but Invasion is just this amount of stuff that just does good things for your deck. It's fun to click on. You get a victory card, you get an action that's going to make things better. You get some payload and extra payload in your deck. You get to do more. So I do like Invasion. That said, loot, I'm going to limit it down to a B. Most unpleasant. We're skipping over loot here, although maybe I put most of the loot things in above this, but we've bashed loot enough. There's Shaman. It has an interesting concept. In games using this, you have to take stuff from the trash, so it's really hard to get thin. Shaman does thin yourself. So you can trash a card from your hand to get a less, thick deck, to kind of counteract the fact that you're getting this stuff back. It's not really able to be explained, but, for whatever reason, this tends to lead to very uneven games, and there's not a whole lot you can do about it. It's like you do the exact same thing as your opponent. You get a bunch of trashers to try to overcome the fact that the trash is spitting stuff back at you, and it just doesn't, work. It'll work for somebody before it works for the other person, and the person who it works for first just ends up winning the game. That's, not ideal. There's not really any agency that you can use to have it be that your shaman game will work better for you. And so, for that reason, I'm going to put this down at a C-. Alright, theme. Plunder has a lot of theme. That said, it's a rehash of Seaside and Prosperity. Did we really need another Seaside Prosperity theme? Like, we already kind of had these sequels to them in Adventures and Empires, so, I don't know. It's cool, but it's not the most amazing thing. I'm giving it a B. The artwork in Plunder is actually pretty good. Don't necessarily look at this box art here, although, it has some cool stuff going on. It introduces, we'll say, a lot of diversity to the card mix that you just don't see in other expansions. And aside from that, there's nothing ever bad about ships and coins. Like, these are the things that Dominion artists seem to just do amazing on. So this is an A for me. The vibe on Plunder is not great. It has all these things to complain about that I've certainly been complaining about. You can't really draw well. It has all these kind of weakish cards. But it's all right. I'll give it a C+. All right, put it all together. It's not a great expansion. It's certainly the worst of these ones coming after Adventures and later. Comes out to a 2.57 here. That said, there's a lot of positive things in it. We talked about Grotto, we talked about Invasion, all these sweet durations, the next time stuff. And if you don't get Plunder, you don't get any of that. There are these cards that maybe it could have been, caught. Maybe it didn't need to be 40 cards. Maybe you just have to, embrace the nastiness of loot a little bit more. But along with these things, you are getting some nice stuff. Next time, these durations, Frigate, great card. These things make it so that if you're asking yourself, despite all of its issues, should I still be buying Plunder? Well, yeah, you should still be buying Plunder. It has enough good stuff in it to be worth it.